What is up, my lovely friends? I know a lot of you guys are where it is super cold. It's about to be super cold, or it's just kind of rainy and gross outside. And if you are somewhere where it's sunny, then please go enjoy that for the rest of us. Please go enjoy that for the rest of us. Happy Sunday. I am the Blue Bodhi, often imitated, never duplicated. And this is about to be your Sunday sermon for the week. So before we get started, I just want to ask you guys just to take a deep breath. Just to take a deep breath, relax, chill for a minute. That is a preempt to let you know that, yeah, I'm probably going to hurt your feelings this morning. Probably going to hurt your feelings this morning. Because don't we all love it when a Sunday sermon hurts our feelings? I'm going to get the eyeballs from my moderators and Sass here in a little bit, but we're going to get right into it. Are you ready? We're going to get right into it. Today's Sunday sermon is titled Thinking for Yourself, the Sacred Art of Spiritual Independence. I decided to write this sermon today not just because of spiritual stuff, not just because there were a few things this week that made my eyebrows go all the way back here, not just because I have been on social media for too long, not just because of life, but because of the world around us. I know that you guys out there look at yourself as either light or shadow. You're both. I know that you have people that tell you have to be put in a box. You have to be this type of practitioner or that type of religious person or this type of affiliation or that or this or that or that. But today we're not going to sit here together and be told what to think. I want you to remember how to think. We live in a world that is full of noise. And I don't just mean cars and sirens and buildings and people. I mean constant noise, constant opinions, constant spiritual influencers. And I know as I say that, some of you guys are like, oh, I know. I know. Doctrines, books, truths that are sold like fast food. We live in an instant noodle society when it comes to spirituality. You want to learn something? All you got to do is flip on TikTok or YouTube or Instagram or whatever and go to witchy content, spiritual content, whatever, and you're going to learn like this, right? And I'm not knocking it, because I love it. It's what I do for a living. I love that I can go on YouTube and look up how to put that plant stand together because the instructions were horrible. I love that I can go on YouTube and look at how to change a fuse in my car because my dad can't help me with it right now, or because I don't want to go get talked down to somewhere. I love that I can go on YouTube, and if I want to learn about the Ars Goetia, I can go learn about that. If I want to learn about ancient Tibetan Buddhism, I can go learn about that. I love it. The problem comes when you have all of these people that are selling these truths, their ultimate truths, like fucking fast food. And what does fast food do to your body when you eat it too much? Let that sink in for a minute. Because those of you guys that are in the spiritual realm, whether it's on Witch Talk or the witchy side of YouTube or Instagram or life, then you know damn well. You've seen people that have been eating the spiritual fast food for so long that they truly believe that this is how they are supposed to be. But I'm going to pose a question to you guys. When was the last time you stopped and you asked yourself, do I actually believe this? When was the last time you stopped and you asked yourself, do I actually believe this? Or did I just absorb it because it was convenient in the moment? Did I just absorb it because it's the first video I came across about this subject? Did I absorb it because I wanted to learn about something and that was just, it was there? And I want you to be honest. I want you to be honest with yourself, because I'm going to tell you something. We all do this because of the world that we live in. And it doesn't matter how old you are. Those younger generations, they're going to believe things more like this because they're used to social media. Younger millennials, same thing. You've been on the internet your entire life. Older millennials, Gen X, we kind of were there when the internet was born. We were there when social media was born. So we still kind of mostly kind of sort of think for ourselves a little bit, but not always, and you and I know it. You see a fantastical video on social media and you're like, oh my God, that's crazy. It has to be true. It has, 2 million likes. That doesn't make it true, does it? Did you just absorb it because it was convenient? Thinking for yourself is one of the rarest spiritual practices of all. Because it requires more than just critical thinking. It requires more than just intelligence. It requires courage. Because it demands that you stand fully exposed before your own brain. And admit that some of the shit that you have put in here, some of the crap that you believe might not actually come from what you think in here, but from someone else's agenda. I'm only talking about spirituality in this sermon, but you take this how you need to take it. I can't tell you how many times I have been scrolling through social media and I've come across someone that they'll say whatever it is they need to say to pander to this spiritual group or this spiritual group or this spiritual group. Because they want you to buy their book or buy their classes or whatever. They're pushing their own agenda. I can't tell you how often lately, and really in the last 5 years, since TikTok really blew up and since the witchy side of TikTok really blew up, that I have come across people that they only got into this because they saw dollar signs. Let that sink in. Shops that are popping up everywhere because they see dollar signs. And you know what? Get it. But when you pass off knowledge that isn't true because of your own agenda, you're going to hurt people. Stephen Hawking wrote a quote, or said a quote. There's a quote from Stephen Hawking, and I love it, and I'm going to read it to you guys. The greatest enemy of knowledge is not ignorance. It is the illusion of knowledge. I'm going to say that again for those in the back. The greatest enemy of knowledge is not ignorance. It is the illusion of knowledge. For those of you guys that have watched me for any length of time, you know damn well that I tell you I'm not the teacher for everyone. I'm not the reader for everyone. I will fire a shitty client in a heartbeat. And you should fire a shitty reader or a shitty teacher in a heartbeat. I never claim to know anything because you know what? The longer I'm in the spiritual realm, the more I realize I don't know. Do I consider myself a little bit of an expert in certain things? Sigils? Yes. Do I know everything about them? No. But I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly reading. I'm constantly watching, seeing, learning, doing. I'm constantly making my brain more. If you've watched me for any length of time, then you know that I'll flat out tell you, if you come across a teacher or a guru or an advisor or whoever, just insert whatever term in air quotes here, that tells you they know everything about a subject, run. Because what that tells me is they don't know shit. And that's what it should tell you too. Like I said, we're only talking about spiritual topics, but take this how you need to for life in general. Because how often are we bombarded on a daily basis by people on the news or on social media or, you know, just in life, that they know better than we do because they know everything. They know everything about a subject. Y'all realize that the best neurosurgeons, the best doctors, the best OBGYNs, the best scientists, the best astrophysics, the best insert whatever here are constantly learning. They're constantly training, taking classes, researching. They never claim to know anything. They never claim to know everything. The freedom of mind, the freedom of spirit is a huge thing. Because the most dangerous prison that you can find yourself in is not one that's made of stone, of concrete, of steel. It's unquestioned beliefs. Like a lamb to slaughter. Every time you repeat something that you have learned from a spiritual guru or just life, every time you repeat something that you have absorbed without understanding it, every time you quote a source without knowing if that is a true source or knowing if that is how you actually feel inside, you reinforce that invisible prison that's around you constantly. Let that sink in. Every time you push a narrative that you don't believe in and you don't know to be true, you are reinforcing invisible walls and an invisible prison around your consciousness. There's a quote from Buddha that fits absolutely perfect into what we're talking about today. Are you ready? Believe nothing. No matter where you read it or who has said it, not even if I have said it, unless it agrees with your own reason and your own common sense. Believe nothing, no matter where you read it or who has said it, not even if I have said it, unless it agrees with your own reason and your own common sense. It isn't rebellion. It isn't being that, punk, stalwart, rebellious soul. It's responsibility. You are responsible for the beliefs that shape your spiritual self. You are responsible for the beliefs that shape your thoughts, your words, your actions, how you treat other people. You are responsible for your own beliefs. So now I want you to ask yourself some questions. And I'm not going to lie, I was mad when I wrote this. I was mad when I wrote this. Not just about life, not just about spirituality, but I just was mad. I'll be 49 in January. I have seen the world explode, and I've seen it be beautiful, and I've seen it be terrible, and I've seen it be grand. I've seen it. Have I seen all of it? No. But I've seen it. And there are still times that I let myself be depressed, be down, be scared of the world. And I caught myself thinking this weekend, this is bullshit. Like, this is bullshit. I'm catching myself not doing the things that I love to do because of some damn news story, or because of a post on social media, or because some other witchy person said XYZ about whatever. And I realize a lot of y'all are in the same exact boat. You're in the same exact boat. So I want you to ask yourself the following questions, because when I was looking at shadow work prompts about this same exact thing, these questions, I was like, ouch. So just know it's coming. Just know it's coming. The first one I want you to ask, and I want you to make sure that you bookmark this video on YouTube. Y'all can watch it on YouTube at any time, so you can go back and listen to these questions. What beliefs do you carry just out of habit? Let that sink in. What beliefs do you carry just out of habit? Because we're all born in a specific family, a specific place, a specific culture. Well, we're all born with self-schemas. S-C-H-E-M-A-S. Self-beliefs. They're ingrained in us before we're born. So what beliefs do you carry just out of habit? My grandma told me there always had to be a mirror by the door facing the door. I didn't know why until I was 41. My mom said we always had to have an ivy plant in the house. The longer the tendrils, the better. Didn't know why till I was 34, 35. I always believed I needed to have a big house in the country and be married and have 2.5 children and a picket fence and an SUV and be a soccer mom and go to PTA meetings. I didn't know until I was in my 40s that I hated that. Hated it with my entire being. So let that sink in. What beliefs do you carry out of habit? You ready for the next one? That one right there, I want you guys to, that's your shadow work homework for it. I promise that right there is going to take you a hot minute to unpack. And as you're unpacking some of the things that you believe in just out of habit, there's going to be more. And it's going to be like an avalanche. And becoming more self-aware with this is a true sign of intelligence. Y'all wanted spiritual sermons. Y'all wanted spiritual sermons that would help you level up, that would help you be a bigger, better, more awesome, more well-rounded person, right? Well, here you go. What beliefs do you carry out of habit? Here's the next one. What part of your spiritual practices do you do just because someone told you to? That includes grandma, grandpa, or the new influencer that you just started following. We're going to put that in air quotes. What spiritual practices do you do because someone told you to? Let that sink in a minute. The next one's really interesting. Are you ready? And here's the thing. These three are shadow work prompts. I know it's a spiritual sermon, but these are shadow work prompts. And the whole goal of shadow work, because I'm watching some of the comments and some of y'all aren't letting it sink in. The whole goal of shadow work prompts are to make you face things that are wrong with you. Because we all have aspects of ourself, our shadow, that we don't want other people to see. We were told they were bad from the time we were born. We were told that, oh, you can't let anybody see you angry. You can't let anybody see you cry. Just rub some dirt on it. How many of y'all heard that? Shadow work is not meant for you to instantly answer, because it's not how shadow work works. Shadow work is meant for you to hear the question and actually sit and contemplate the answer. It's meant to make you more mentally and emotionally and spiritually mature. Because when you do shadow work, you become more self-aware. And when you become more self-aware, you become more ingrained in who you actually are, instead of what someone told you you had to fucking be. It's not rebellion, it's responsibility. So the last one of these questions is, which parts of my spiritual path are actually alive? And which are just tradition without a soul? What things do you do that you feel them on a deep level? They are part of your soul practice. And what things do you just go through the motions because someone told you to? Because you've just always done it. So it's just habit. I'm going to tell you something. Are you ready? I want all of you to really listen. I want you to hear every single syllable I say. If you can just close your eyes for a minute, I want you to hear it really deeply. Are you ready? You are not bound to every ritual. You are not bound to every rule book. And you are not bound to every reading. You are bound to your own truth. And truth is not owned by any religion, any culture, any lineage, any practice, any affiliation, any party. It's not owned by anyone. It's owned by you. You are bound to your own truth, and you own that. You aren't bound to what someone told you had to do at the first of the month because this is some new tradition that people are starting. You aren't bound to do things that don't resonate with you because your shitty ass family always did them. You aren't bound to be friends with somebody because they're a piece of poo-poo. You aren't bound to believe something because someone is pounding it in your fucking head. You are bound to your own truth. That's it. The mind that opens to a new idea never returns to its original size. Albert Einstein. The mind that opens to a new idea never returns to its original size. Freedom of the spirit begins when you stop confusing obedience with devotion. Because they're two completely separate things. So where are you being obedient? And where are you being devoted? I'm going to talk to you a little bit about inherited beliefs versus chosen beliefs, because this is one of the main keys of this whole sermon. And you can equate this in your spiritual self, and you can equate this in life. We talked a little bit, or I mentioned a little bit about schemas. Self-schemas, embraced schemas. Most of us were born into a belief system before we were even old enough to question them or to know what they were. We were told this is right and this is wrong, and this is good and this is evil. And it doesn't matter what practice, culture, etc. you were born into, you had those things. This is right and this is wrong, and this is good and this is bad. We inherited our emotional coding from our parents, from religion, from culture, and we called them truth. And I want you to let it sink in how many people call themselves truthers. Have you ever stopped to ask, whose voice is that speaking inside my head when I pray? Whether you pray to God or Allah or Buddha or any of the Terras or Odin or Ra or the Orishas. Whose voice is that? And the next one, you ready for the next question? Whose fear is guiding your decisions? Whose fear is guiding your decisions? That was a shadow work question that I came across, and it really prompted me to talk about this today, because I realized when I told you guys a while ago that I was mad earlier this week, I realized that I was talking to Sass, and I was like, dude, I'm fighting a really bad agoraphobia meltdown right now. I don't want to leave my house. I want Instacart to bring me my groceries and DoorDash to bring me my food. I don't even want to go take the trash to the curb. I know I fight agoraphobia. Y'all would never know that, would you? But then I started thinking, wait a minute, this is not my normal bout of agoraphobia. Because with agoraphobia, I don't really mind going to take the trash out. I don't mind going and sitting outside. I love my back porch. Like that's my sanctuary, right? I didn't want to go out there. I didn't go out there for 3 days. Okay, that's not my normal agoraphobia. So what fear is guiding my decisions right now? My decisions to never go anywhere, to never go take my kid shopping like she asked, or to go to dinner with my girlfriends, or what is guiding my fear? When I'm canceling anything that I want to do next year, or not scheduling anything I want to do, what fear is guiding that decision? Every belief that you carry isn't yours until you make it yours. Somebody else's belief can go in one ear and right out the other. Or it can go in one ear and stay, and then it becomes yours. Emerson said, "Nothing is at last sacred but the integrity of your own mind." And if you believe everything that everybody says, where is your mental integrity? Where is your personal integrity? To think for yourself is to dig through all of the soil, the dirt of your spirit. You find out what was transplanted by someone else. And then you get to decide what still deserves to grow. Are you okay if somebody comes into your yard and just randomly plants some shit? Even if it's a plant you really wanted. Let's say you really wanted one of the black crepe myrtles with the gorgeous pink flowers, right? You really, really want one really bad. But somebody just comes and randomly, they go in your yard and randomly plant it. It's something you really wanted, right? You really coveted this plant, you wanted it. But they took it on themselves to go and put it in your yard where they thought it should go. Are you okay with that? Let that sink in. You get to decide what in your own personal garden was planted by other people. And then you get to decide what was planted by you and what gets to still grow. Because we can all think of things, okay, somebody goes and plants some grody ass thorn bush back there right where my kids play. Oh, you're going to be pissed, right? You're going to dig that bitch right up, right? But they just came and just entered your property without permission. But they planted one you'd always wanted, right? Some things have to die so other wisdom can bloom. Some things have to be removed like a weed so other wisdom, so your own personal wisdom can grow. If you stripped away every single label that you put on yourself, every single title that you put on yourself, every single teaching that you had learned, who would you be? Who would you be spiritually? If there were no titles, no labels. You aren't a chaos witch, you aren't a green witch, you aren't a newbie, you aren't an old broom, you aren't any of that. Who would you be? Who would you be spiritually? Are your beliefs about your spiritual self, about yourself in general, are they expanding your compassion or are they limiting it? And who do you know that pushes limiting narratives? One of the things I love so much about TikTok is when I see people that say, oh, you can't practice this because you look like this. I literally was the redheaded stepchild when I was a kid. Literally was the redheaded stepchild. But from the time I was 2, I was raised in a family that they're Cherokee and Potawatomi. A lot of natives, a lot of native practices. I was raised in that. So I love it when I have people that tell me that I can't do the things that I was initiated in, that I grew up with because of how I look. I love when I hear that some people can't practice voodoo because of how they look. You go into any voodoo shop in New Orleans, you are going to find people from all walks of life. All of them. Because spirit calls who spirit calls. If you're initiated into a practice, you're invited into a practice to be initiated by an elder of that practice, then you belong in that practice. But yet, we have people all over social media. You can't do this because of this. You can't do this because of this. And then they want to get mad about racial tensions. And then they want to get mad about gatekeeping. And then they want to get mad about all this stuff, but they're perpetuating it. And people do it in regular life too, not just in spirituality. So are they rooted in love? Are your practices rooted in love? Are your practices rooted in a really deep, intense, this resonates with me in my soul? Or are they rooted in a fear of punishment? Those of you guys that grew up in church and Christian households and never really resonated with some of those teachings, do you still do it because of love, or do you do it because you're afraid of going to hell? Are you afraid of going to the bad place? Are you afraid of purgatory? Or do you do it because you actually love that practice? And if the answer is both, that's okay too. There are so many dangers when it comes to blind faith. There are so many dangers when it comes to blind faith. And this next part that we're going to talk about, you take it how you need to take it for your own life, whether it's witchy shit, spiritual shit, or life shit. Because I'm watching it all the time. And I'm surprised I don't have a permanent bruise from my jaw hitting my desk all the time. Blind faith is not loyalty. Let me say that again. Blind faith is not loyalty. It's surrendering your divine right to think for yourself. Go ahead and surrender it, man. Go ahead. I ain't surrendering mine. I'm going to be over here being that crotchety blue-haired lady. I'm going to be over here when I'm 90, God forbid, 95, being that crotchety old lady that's like, well, did you really think that through? That's going to be me. Blind faith is not loyalty. It's surrendering your divine right to think. It's surrendering your brain to someone else's will. It's the willingness to let someone else's truth replace your own. It's the willingness to fall in line. Every dictator, every false prophet, every manipulative teacher thrives on the same fucking formula. Obedience over observation. Fear over freedom. Because how many spiritual people do you know that will tell you, oh, if you start this path, it's really heavy. And if you get off of this path at all, you know, there are demons or bad things or whatever. Bitch, every practice is like that. Every single pantheon, every single religion has good things and bad things. Reward and punishment, yin and yang, dark and light, good and evil. Every single thing has that. Your work has that. Your job has that. You do a good job, you get rewarded. You do a shitty job, you get punished. Right? Obedience over observation and fear over freedom. If you have ever been told in your life or in a spiritual practice, don't question it, just trust it, then I want you to remember this. The moment that you're told not to question something is the moment that you're asked to stop growing. The moment you're told not to question something is the moment you're asked to stop growing. Marcus Aurelius said, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. So what color are your thoughts? What color is your soul wearing today? Is it dyed with its own truths or someone else's stain? Let that sink in a minute. Are the colors that your soul is wearing yours? Are they your colors? Or are they stained by someone else? Before you share anything, before you share a teaching, before you share a quote, before you share a mantra, before you share a belief, I want you to ask yourself three questions, okay? There's a reason I don't put out just random videos about every little single thing like other people do. Not that there's anything wrong with that. There's a reason I don't do it. Because I was taught by my parents to question everything. I was taught to question everything. I was taught to look at this thing, and everything in between. I was taught to research. I was taught to listen to all of the news outlets and look at what's not being said. I was taught to think for myself. So before you share anything, I need you to really take ownership of it. Do you understand what it is you're sharing? Do you understand what it is you're sharing? Is it something you believe in? Do you live by that? Or are you just repeating it to sound wise? Are you just regurgitating information to sound wise and to be relevant? Because a spiritual performance is not the same as a spiritual practice. And we see spiritual performances all the time on social media. I watch people copy me and copy other creators, bigger creators, on a daily basis as a performance. If you get tattoos because someone else has those tattoos, they're not yours, they're a performance. If you cut your hair the way someone else cuts their hair because they are an authority in something, they seem cool, then it's a fucking performance. If you're copying other people just because they have a large following, it's a performance. It's not your practice, it's a performance. Memorizing someone else's truth doesn't make it your own. One of the main things that comes with practicing spirituality, that comes with practicing witchcraft or druidism or heathenism or anything, to walk the path of a witch, of a shaman, or a mystic, is to become both a scientist and a mystic. To test the unseen. To question what other people just blindly worship. I'm going to say something, and I want you guys to listen really carefully, especially those of you witchy souls that are listening right now. Babies, a witch does not just accept. A witch experiments. A witch experiments. A witch asks, what happens if I do this differently? What happens if I listen to the energy and I use this ingredient instead of this ingredient? What happens? What happens if I manifest during an eclipse? What happens? A witch experiments. Critical thought is not cynicism. It's sacred discernment. It's what separates the seeker from the sheep. It's what separates the lion from the lamb. I'm going to give you an Aleister Crowley quote. Are you ready? The word of sin is restriction. Let that sink in a minute. Because I know sometimes when I mention Crowley, people go, oh, and they clutch their witchy pearls. Oh, oh. You don't have to agree with everything someone says or writes to learn. I mentioned Machiavelli. People go, huh? Huh? Did you know that the term Machiavellian comes from Shakespeare? If you followed me for any length of time, then you know this. The term Machiavellian comes from Shakespeare. Machiavelli was a very highly sought after person for several different royal families, and when he disagreed with one, they threw him in prison. When he used sacred discernment, they threw him in prison because he wouldn't write what they wanted him to say. And that's when he wrote his most famous work, the thing that we look at today as Machiavellian, as evil. He wrote The Prince. And don't get me wrong, there are some princes who have used this work as a blueprint for manipulation. But what he was doing is making fun of the ruling parties. The word of sin is restriction. What restricts you the most? What restricts us as human beings the most? Unquestioned beliefs. The fear of being wrong. The fear of standing by yourself. What restricts you the most? I like being by myself, man. It's addictive. I have a problem with it. I have a problem with having people in my space. I like being alone. I don't mind waiting and making my mind up and then standing up and saying, that's bullshit. Or, hey, that's right. I don't mind being wrong. Do I like to be wrong? No, don't get it wrong. But I'm not afraid of being wrong. In Hermetic philosophy, and for those of you guys that don't know about Hermetic philosophy, that will make you a stronger witch. Go read some Hermetic philosophy. But it reminds you of these things. And when I say this next phrase, all of you are familiar with it. Every witchy soul listening to this is familiar with it. Are you ready? Say it with me. As above, so below. As within, so without. This means that the universe mirrors your inner world. Your mind, if it's chained up, so is your magic's going to be chained up too. Nothing will work, and you won't know why. If your beliefs are borrowed from someone else, or if they are pushed on you from someone else, then your results are always going to be like you got them from a shitty thrift shop. Your results will always be secondhand results if you are working with borrowed or forced beliefs. So the next time you are ready to do a ritual or a spell, ask yourself why you're doing it. Why are you doing it? Is it fueled by a belief? By a programmed response? By repetition? It's tradition that every year I do this. Whose tradition? The moment you know your reason, the moment that your magic truly becomes yours again. One of the deepest initiations on the path of awakening is learning to walk without applause. Let that sink in a minute. And I know every one of you follows different creators that, witchy or not, they love drama. They need the applause. They need the drama. They need to be relevant. They need to be in front of you. And one of the deepest initiations on the path of awakening is learning to walk without applause. When you stop needing your beliefs to be validated by other people, then you start living in alignment with yourself. In witchy stuff and in life. There's a peace that comes when you no longer give a fuck if your spiritual truth fits in anyone else's box or label. You can sit at a table with Christians, with pagans, with atheists, with scientists, and see the divine in every one of them. Because you have stopped trying to win the debate and instead tried to understand. There's a reason that I consider myself an omnist. There is beauty in every single religion, in every single practice. Do I have to practice them all? No. Can I appreciate them all? Yes. Lao Tzu wrote, "When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be." And Carl Jung mirrored that by saying, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." You can't be who you really are while you're living under someone else's definition of enlightenment. When you think for yourself, you stand alone for a hot minute. You're going to lose people who were attached to that silence when you finally start to speak up. You'll upset people who benefited from you just conforming to what they said or taught or pushed. But every single day, I want you to remember that every mystic who was ever awakened to the world was called crazy before they were called wise. To find yourself, you have to think for yourself. That is a quote from Socrates. Your truth doesn't need a crowd. It just needs one person that is brave enough to speak it. Walking your path is going to be being misunderstood. And that's fine. Because solitude, your personal solitude, is where wisdom whispers the loudest. There's an old saying, I couldn't trace back where it was from, but when I found it, I was like, are you ready for this? This is going to make you giggle. Are you ready? If you are the smartest person in the room, then you are in the wrong room. If you are the smartest person in the room, then you are in the wrong room. And if everyone in your circle agrees with you, then you aren't growing. You aren't growing. I see so many people on all sides of religion on social media that just want to argue with each other to prove that they're right. And it tickles me. I'm not going to lie. It tickles me. Seek out people who challenge you. Seek out people who challenge your thoughts, who challenge your beliefs. Not just comfort them. Iron sharpens iron. Wisdom sharpens the soul. Stop trying to make other people believe that your way is the best way. And you don't have to believe that somebody else's way is the best way just because of what they're saying or threatening. You weren't sent here to repeat someone else's story. You were sent here to write your own. So before we go today, I'm going to say this. I'm going to leave you with one last quote, and I'm going to leave you with a little blessing. The greatest form of worship is to live by your own light. It's an anonymous quote. I couldn't trace it back to anywhere, but I loved it. Are you ready? May your thoughts always be your own. May your questions lead to revelations. May your doubts guide you to deeper wisdom. And may you never again dim your light to fit in someone else's shadow. Go forth and think. Go forth and seek. Go forth and find your sovereign self. Don't be afraid to stand in the brilliance of your own understanding, my friends. I have faith in you. You should too.